It was the winter of 2012 when I first encountered the cold, crystalline world of methamphetamine. I was only 15 at the time, a quiet teenager searching for a way to fit in, to feel like I belonged. I had been a loner, too shy to join the popular groups, too quiet to speak up in class. But one night, a friend named Alex pulled me into a world I never thought I'd see. Alex wasn't a bad kid, not by any means. He was just someone who had fallen through the cracks, someone who was always looking for something more. One evening, as we were hanging out by the old, dimly lit alley near the train station, he pulled out a small bag from his pocket and offered it to me with a smile that seemed a little too eager. "Ever tried Crystal?" he asked, his voice almost playful. I knew about it. Everyone had heard the stories, seen the documentaries. Meth was the stuff of nightmares, but I also knew Alex had been struggling. His family had fallen apart a year ago, his father gone, and his mother absent, lost in her own struggles. He'd been looking for something, anything, to escape the chaos of his life. And here it was, this little bag of powder that promised a fleeting moment of relief. Curiosity got the better of me. Just once, I told myself. I'll see what the fuss is about. That night, Alex crushed the crystals and we inhaled the powder, the sharp sting in our noses almost unbearable. But as the high hit, something inside me snapped. I felt alive, like I had just woken from a deep sleep. The world became brighter, sharper, and everything around me seemed to slow down, as if I was the only one in control. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like an outsider. That first taste didn't last long, though. The next few days felt like a blur, and I found myself chasing the high again and again. The first time had been a burst of energy, but the second time was stronger. And the third? I couldn't even remember the third. A week later, I found myself buying the drug from someone else. Then it became a weekend ritual, then a daily need. Every hit was like a fire that burned brighter, but with each one, it started to consume me. The changes were subtle at first. Lost appetite, sleepless nights, shaky hands. But the craving started to control me. I wanted more, and I needed it faster. That's when Alex introduced me to the next step, smoking it. We would sit in the dim light of his room, the smell of the drug thick in the air, and I'd take in the smoke, feeling the rush flood my body. It was everything I had ever wanted: intensity, clarity, euphoria. The world seemed to be at my feet, but the high never lasted long enough. The effects faded faster each time, and my body, so eager to chase that fleeting sensation, became more tolerant. I started to need more just to feel the same. That's when Alex told me about the bombs, small pieces of meth wrapped in tissue, swallowed to prolong the high. But even that couldn't satisfy the hunger inside me. At 17, I found myself in a dangerous place. My skin had turned pale, my teeth were rotting, and I had lost most of my friends. They had either moved on or were too worried about me to stick around. That's when I hit rock bottom. I injected the drug for the first time. I wasn't alone, though. There were others like me, people who had fallen into the same trap. There was Lisa, a 22-year-old woman who had been using since she was 16. She'd lost her job, her family, and eventually her sense of self. But at least we had each other, even if it was just for a moment. We all told ourselves the same lies. Just one more hit, we'd say, I'll be done soon. But I had seen it in their eyes, the hollowed out look of someone who had given up on life. And I realized with a sudden clarity that I was heading down the same path. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew I had to change. But it was hard. It wasn't just the drug, it was the environment, the people around me, the isolation. When you're addicted, it feels like everyone is against you. The world outside your little bubble is foreign, distant, and full of judgment. But there are always people who care. They just have to find you. One day I found myself in the ER, my body trembling and my mind barely functioning. I was scared, exhausted, and alone. That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep doing this. But breaking free wasn't easy. It took months of therapy, countless sleepless nights, and facing the hard truth about what meth had done to me. And yet, even now, I sometimes think back to that first time, the high, the euphoria, and I have to remind myself why I'll never go back. Crystal meth is like a thief in the night. It takes everything from you until you have nothing left. But I'm still here, still fighting, still trying to rebuild what I lost. I know now that the real high, the one that lasts, is finding a way out. In 1938, a seemingly innocuous pharmaceutical breakthrough occurred when the German company Temmler introduced Pervitin. At its core, Pervitin was a form of methamphetamine, a stimulant that was first synthesized in the early 20th century. Marketed as a remedy for various ailments, the drug quickly found its place in German society as a magical cure for fatigue, low energy, and even depression among housewives. The pill, often casually taken with coffee or offered in chocolate pralines, became a social norm. For a time, it seemed like a harmless way to boost productivity and improve mood, tapping into a growing culture of performance enhancement. Temmler and other pharmaceutical companies promoted Pervitin as the answer to the weariness of modern life, even suggesting it was the solution to increasing wartime efficiency. What seemed like a well-meaning remedy was, in fact, the first step on a dark path toward the drug's role in history. As World War II escalated, the drug quickly took on a new, more sinister purpose. The Nazi regime, ever eager to enhance the performance of its military forces, began distributing Pervitin to soldiers. In a time of relentless blitzkrieg tactics, where speed and stamina were crucial for military success, Pervitin became a tool for war. It wasn't just about keeping soldiers awake during long nights or enhancing focus on the battlefield. It became integral to the mental and physical endurance required to launch and sustain rapid military campaigns. German soldiers who were encouraged to take the drug in various forms became part of a pill-popping army that could march for days without rest, fueled by the artificial high of methamphetamine. The drug's effect on the soldiers was profound. It temporarily erased the feeling of fatigue, enhanced alertness, and even made them feel invincible. This sense of invulnerability, however, was fleeting. Soon, the drug's darker side revealed itself. Soldiers who had been pushed beyond their natural limits began to experience severe crashes. The physical toll of Pervitin on their bodies was devastating. Many collapsed from exhaustion, while others succumbed to hypothermia as the drug masked their body's natural response to environmental stress. By 1941, as the toll of methamphetamine use became undeniable, the German government began regulating Pervitin, making it a prescription-only drug. But even with these restrictions, the drug remained widely available on the black market, and its use continued to be widespread, both within and beyond the military. Following the collapse of the Nazi regime, the use of Pervitin didn't stop, it only evolved. While the German government banned its sale to the general public in the late 1940s, its active ingredient, methamphetamine, continued to circulate in various forms. The drug was prescribed by doctors for a variety of purposes, including as a treatment for attention disorders, weight loss, and as an energy booster for the overworked and underrested. This period saw the normalization of methamphetamine in society, particularly in Europe and the United States. By the 1970s, as awareness of the dangers of methamphetamine grew, the US moved to ban the drug. However, the genie was already out of the bottle. Methamphetamine use skyrocketed in different forms, most notably the highly potent crystal meth, which emerged as a far more dangerous iteration of the original stimulant. It didn't take long for illegal production to ramp up, and by the 1990s, methamphetamine became a global scourge. The legacy of Pervitin morphed into the spread of a far more potent form, crystal methamphetamine. With its origins in the underground labs of Eastern Europe, particularly in regions where law enforcement was lax, meth became a lucrative, illicit commodity. In these so-called meth kitchens, a volatile and often dangerous production process gave rise to the highly addictive, crystalline form of methamphetamine that would come to dominate global drug trafficking. By the 2000s, methamphetamine production and distribution had become a multi-billion-dollar global industry. The meth crisis spread across continents, reaching not only the United States, where it ravaged communities in the Midwest and West Coast, but also Europe. In countries like Germany, once the birthplace of Pervitin, the drug exploded in popularity. By 2023, Germany had seen a significant rise in the seizure of crystal meth. 451 kilograms were confiscated in that year alone, a testament to the drug's rampant spread. As production methods became more sophisticated and trafficking routes more complex, international smuggling networks further exacerbated the crisis, making methamphetamine one of the most widespread and dangerous illegal drugs of the 21st century. Stefan Mulich, a leading researcher on the drug, explains that the power of methamphetamine lies in its ability to trigger an explosive release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter involved in pleasure and reward, into the brain. In fact, methamphetamine can increase dopamine levels by as much as 1,400 per, a spike far higher than what is experienced during orgasm or the use of other drugs like cocaine. This rush is intense and often overwhelming, and it doesn't take long for users to become addicted. For some, even one use can be enough to set them on a path of destruction. Over time, the drug rewires the brain, causing profound physical and mental deterioration. Users become caught in an endless cycle of craving and use, their lives spiraling out of control as they chase the fleeting high. Long-term effects of methamphetamine use include severe cognitive impairment, memory loss, violent behavior, and in some cases, irreversible damage to vital organs. As of today, methamphetamine remains one of the deadliest and most pervasive drugs in the world. Despite law enforcement efforts to curb its production and distribution, the global demand for the drug continues to fuel its trafficking and manufacture. The original spark that began with Pervitin during World War II has exploded into a global crisis that affects millions of lives across multiple generations. From its introduction as a seemingly harmless stimulant to its role in the horrors of war, Pervitin's legacy is a dark reminder of the unpredictable path of certain substances. What was initially sold as a performance enhancer has evolved into a global epidemic, one that continues to devastate lives and communities. For those grappling with addiction, various forms of support are available. Social workers and street outreach teams are often the first point of contact. Sarah, a street worker, explains her role in assisting young people. I work in mobile outreach, helping those who turn to drugs like crystal meth when everything else seems lost. Another social worker, David, shares that many young people suffering from addiction carry emotional scars from their past, filled with doubts and trauma. His job is not only to help with practical needs like housing, but also to provide guidance as they work to overcome their addiction. The road to recovery from crystal meth addiction is long and difficult. Jacob, who hit rock bottom in 2021, recalls, "I had suicidal thoughts and was actively seeking an overdose. My body was telling me I couldn't go on like this, so I knew I had to make a change." That moment marked the beginning of his journey toward rehabilitation. Addiction treatment typically starts with detoxification, which takes about 4 weeks, followed by therapy. Dr. Carolyn Weber, who works at a rehab center, explains, after detox, patients go through 3 key phases: orientation, core, and transition. These programs also focus on life after recovery, helping individuals rebuild their lives by pursuing education or job training to secure a future free from drugs. Crystal meth is a growing problem, even inside prisons. Despite being incarcerated, drugs are often smuggled in by visitors, guards, or fellow inmates. Mark, a former inmate, describes the phenomenon. Even in prison, meth was everywhere. It would come in through unexpected channels. Dr. Emma Fisher, an addiction specialist, points out that areas like Brandenburg have become hotspots for meth use. Shockingly, even trusted figures like clergymen or law enforcement may be involved in trafficking. Methamphetamine use is not limited to any one social class. People from all walks of life, including corporate executives and students, sometimes use meth to improve their focus and performance. Workers in manual labor fields like construction or farming may also turn to the drug to stay alert and work longer hours. The consequences of methamphetamine use are especially dire for pregnant women. Many addicts struggle to quit during pregnancy, which leads to serious health problems for their unborn children. In 2017, it was reported that around 120 to 150 babies born in the region of Lower Saxony showed signs of meth-induced harm, with the actual number possibly higher due to underreporting. The lasting effects of meth use on both the mother and child can be devastating, and healthcare professionals emphasize the urgent need for intervention and support.